This episode of the Clutch City Cast is brought to you by Anchor. Anchor has helped us get our podcast from YouTube to Spotify within 30 minutes. It's easy to use and we love it like a child.
Hey y'all, welcome back to Clutch City Cast. Big news for us. We are now officially on Spotify. You can look us up at Clutch City Cast, and you can now listen and watch us on YouTube and Spotify. As always, our Twitter is Clutch City Cast, same as Instagram and TikTok. Today we got a special guest, one of my assistant coaches who has meant a lot to me these past 2 years. Coach DK, if you want to introduce yourself.
What's up? I'm DaCota Kauffman. I'm from Giddings, Texas. Most Estonians don't have no idea where Giddings is at. If you're going to Austin from here, you go right through it. It's a small town. It's where I was born and raised. Went to high school there. We only have one high school. Played about every sport there is. Played track, played football, baseball, basketball. After high school, I got recruited to go to SAGU, which is Southwestern Assemblies of God University in Waxahachie, Texas. I played there a year. Figured out it wasn't really for me. Didn't like the school. Transferred to Texas State. Became a student assistant there for 2 years, I think. Yeah, 2 years under Coach Steven Trout. And then now I'm a assistant at the University of St. Thomas, which I believe is one of the best schools in Houston and one of the best coaching staffs in the nation, if you ask me. So got to be on.
Nah, I don't know about that, but yeah. Beautiful campus.
Oh yeah, right in the middle of Houston, man. Can't get much closer to.
No, there's not a better place you can play. Like you can't beat playing in Houston. Like I feel for all these other schools in the SCAC, like I couldn't like. I'm a firm believer that God does everything for a reason, and like I talked to my parents the other day that if I was at Southwestern right now in Georgetown and not being able to go to Astro games or just being in the city, like it just. The placement of UST makes college so much better, and then you add the coaching staff they all put together. So I guess we can kind of go back to your high school a little bit. Like you said, most Houstonians wouldn't know Giddings, but I would because my last ever high school game, complete game shutout against Giddings High School. Don't know if Giddings High School has ever beat West Columbia in anything, but yeah. So I was growing up in a 4A school.
Yeah. It's awesome, man. You know everybody. You know everybody in your class. You've went to school with them your whole life. Pretty cool. You know, up here I've started to realize, like with the big 5As and 6As, you get to pick one sport and you play it right. In 4A high schools, it's just y'all. Like I graduated with 160 people, right? So you play football, you play basketball, you play baseball, which I believe helps you when you get recruited. As coaches, we're looking for athletes. And if you can play all these sports, you turn out to be a pretty good athlete, especially when you play them your whole life.
That's one thing that we do ask a lot of the professional athletes is that we've noticed that a lot of them played multiple sports in high school. And so the overarching thing is that the more sports you play, the better athlete you are and the better athlete you'll be in your sport specific. So then you get recruited, you go to SAGU, you started as a freshman. How'd that go?
Good. It went good. I started as a freshman. I had played 36 games out of 40-something. I hit a little rough patch defensively. For some reason, I couldn't throw the ball across the diamond. I fielded it. I just couldn't throw it. But I kept hitting, so they kept me in the games. But, I really started at SAGU I started not loving the game anymore. I played it my whole life, but in college, Cam, it's a grind, right? It's every day. You don't have time for anything else. And along with that, I had my girlfriend in high school since I was a sophomore year in high school, who is my wife now, and she was playing softball at Texas State. So the long distance thing was tough. So I decided to transfer to Texas State after that, which was a great choice. I don't think I would ever go back on that. I got to be a part of their baseball program for 2 years and also be with my wife now. And so I learned so much from Coach Trout. I'll always be thankful for that staff as well. They got me started in the coaching career.
And so having that rough freshman year and now being a coach, making the practice plans, going through all that, kind of knowing both sides of it as a volunteer assistant, the player and the coach side, what advice would you give to these first-year players or these high school kids wanting to play college baseball? Like, how could they make their freshman year more enjoyable, or like prepare them for what they're about to get into?
So what I would tell them is, okay, first off, it's not all about, if you fail at baseball, that doesn't define you. When you mess up on a baseball field, I promise you it's not as bad as what somebody else is going through in life. Okay, it's a game, right? Sometimes we can get wrapped up in baseball. If we have a bad game, it turns into a bad day. Man, when you're on that field, you're on that field. When you get off that field, it's your life, right? Don't let baseball consume you and make you have, if you have a bad day at the plate, don't make it make you have a bad day in life, right? At the end of the day, it's a game, and we only get to play that game for so long, right? So just take everything with a grain of salt, right? And I know it sucks to have a bad day, but honestly, what's the bigger picture, right? You always have life after baseball. It's not all about what you do on the diamond that defines you.
That's something that I know that personally I can work on too. I'm assuming the coaching staff knows that, especially me. My whole life's wrapped around baseball. Like, I get home and I'm watching MLB Network. I'm like, we're on the bus trip and I have spring training pulled up like it. And so for me, it's hard to take baseball away from my life, because that's all it is to me. Is like, that's what I want to watch. That's why I eat the healthy food that I do. That's why I go to sleep when I do, is just to be better at baseball. And I know that I never want to leave baseball, but you kind of got that feeling after you left SAGU, right? You got to Texas State. How long until you were like, man, I got to get back into baseball?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I think I got done with SAGU, and then I had the summer to think about it, and then I think August came around and I missed it already. You know, it's kind of like you don't realize you miss it until you realize it, right? And so I remember, you know, and especially from a small town, you know, DaCota Kauffman. You think of DaCota Kauffman, you think of baseball as well, right? Because everybody knew we played baseball, or I played baseball and everything. And so I think it was in the fall, in October actually, and I got home from class and I was just sitting there. I was like, I'm just a regular student. Like, I'm not doing what I love. Like, I'm just going to class and coming back home and sitting on the couch. Like, I got to get back in baseball. And so actually how I got the job was I actually went to Coach Trout's office after class one day in October, and I talked to him about it and told him I played college baseball and that I wanted to stay in the baseball. I wanted to be coaching. And so he talked to me for a little bit. He said we'd give you a call. They needed to talk about it. And so I think it was a couple of days after that, they talked about it. They gave me a call and like, hey man, if you really want to do this, you can come help us out. And I was like, absolutely. Didn't even think about it. So I called my dad, told my dad about it. And he was like, well, do you really want to give up your dream for your career? You know, and I was thinking about it and I was like, you know, I only have a couple more years of baseball. I'm not going pro. I already know that. What about my career? Let's think about my career now and how this can help me out. So that's what I decided to do.
Yeah, and how much do you think that decision becoming the assistant, right? That's the title?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how much do you think that helped you become the coach that you are today?
It's one of the best decisions of my life, to be honest with you. Learning from Coach Trout to Jerry Cervantes to Coach Massengale to Coach Blakely, they taught me so much in those 2 years of how to coach and how to coach baseball, but also how to treat your guys, right? If they have a bad game, you got to hug on them a little bit. Okay, it's not all about baseball, and so it was big time for me to learn that. And another thing was I was a student assistant, right? So it's a student in front of the assistant. Mm-hmm. So I got to be up there in the meetings with the coaches before practice, after practice, and I also got to see and hang out with the guys after practice, after games, to see what they were thinking and the coaches were thinking. So I was kind of in the middle of all that stuff where I could see in my mind when sorry, my electricity went out. That's crazy. Look at that. How'd that happen? No. We got to start all over.
No, we don't. We're good. All right. So after some power outages and technical difficulties, we're back. DK was talking about being a coach and a student at the same time at Texas State and kind of how that helped benefit him, if he wants to pick back up on that.
Yeah, so I was just talking about, being a student assistant with under Trouty at Texas State and all that good stuff. Yeah, so I got to see the coaching side with meetings and stuff before practices, before games, and all that good stuff. And then I also got to see the players outside of practice and hang out with them because I mean we became good buddies. Honestly, I mean Tristan Stivers was one of the coaches at Texas State. He was one of the guys at my wedding. He was one of my groomsmen. So. Just seeing like what they said about the coaches and what they said the coaches were telling them, and then going to meetings and stuff and listening to the coaches talk to the players was pretty cool and kind of helped me, balance all that stuff out. So it was a cool experience to be able to do that.
And so, how do you think that kind of balance of being, because you still are a younger coach, and so how has that kind of helped you here at St. Thomas, being able to kind of connect with the kids and the coaches and stuff?
Right. So. It's a lot different now, right? Like I'm not hanging out with the players or anything like that, like I was at Texas State. But here, I kind of know I'm y'all's age, right? So I know what's going through y'all's head, and I know that Woody or Coach Pearson can sometimes be intimidating, right? They're older figures, right? And so as a younger guy, I can take that what their message is and give it to y'all like in a, I guess, younger lingo, right? Like we can talk it out and you feel comfortable with me going back and forth with each other, right? You feel more comfortable talking to me than a guy that's been here, done it, been coaching for 15 years, right? So I feel like that really benefits me, being y'all's age is we can talk to each other more like because we're the same age. Yeah. You don't feel as intimidated. So.
And so that was my next question, kind of going into coaching for the first time is that, as always, there's times you got to get stern with your players. Did you ever do that at Texas State, or since you're buddies, you kind of stayed away with it? And like how has that kind of changed coming to St. Thomas?
Yeah, so at Texas State, right, you're a student assistant. I mean, you're the bottom of the totem pole. You know what I mean? So, yeah, we were buddies and stuff with the players, but no, I never yelled. I just kind of did whatever the Coach Trouty or Jerry or Blakely told me to do. I would help them out. I'd catch bullpens, whatever they needed me to do, get my work done, and just hang out. I wouldn't really yell. But yeah, obviously now, I mean, I do yell at guys. Not often. I'm not a big yeller. If they screw up in the game, by the time when they screwed up, by the time I get to them, they know they screwed up. There's no need to yell in front of everybody. So I'll just pull them aside, talk to them through the situation, what happened, what could we do better, and stuff like that. There are times, like the other day at practice, I felt like, I coach outfield, so I felt like our guys weren't taking it as serious with our individual drills. So I just got on them about, hey man, it's individual drills, man. I know it gets boring at times, but you can't get bored with greatness, right? You have to go game speed every time, every day, every practice, right? If you don't go game speed, you're gonna get sped up in the game. And so it's a little different because I'm y'all's age, but I also feel like I've earned the respect from the guys of, hey, DK is cool, we can go talk to him, but we gotta listen to him too, and we gotta do our best for him because he's gonna do his best for us. And I feel like respect is earned, right? And so I feel like I've gained the respect of the guys, and I feel like we have a good standing.
And I think that's one of the unique things about the USD coaching staff. One, y'all work together very well. You can tell that all of y'all are friends, from our strength coach to our trainer to all 5 of our coaches that we have now. And it's kind of, all of y'all came from a different walk in life to get to where you're at now. Like how you're talking about, you played a year at SAGU, then you were a student assistant over at Texas State, and now you're here. Coach Cook came directly from playing NAIA ball. Our other pitching coach played at the University of Texas, was the head coach at high school, and now he's here. And then we have Coach Wood, who played professionally with the Royals, and Coach Peterson, who's been coaching for at least 10 years. And so how has that kind of meshed and helped you become a better coach listening to these other guys?
Yeah, so at the end of the day, we're all competitors, right? So that's why I feel like we all get along. But it's kind of cool. I mean, me and Ty played NAIA ball. Coach Pearson played D2/D3 baseball. Coach Wood played D1 baseball, JUCO ball, and pro ball, and Bo played D1 too. So it's crazy how we come from all these different levels and mesh up here now. And I think it's great, man. I mean, I love the guys that we coach with. Coach Wood is awesome. He was an assistant for 10 years at St. Ed's, and then Coach Pearson's been doing it a long time. He came from ETBU, and then me and Bo and Ty, we're all younger, right? And so it's kind of cool learning from Wood and Pearson, and just grinding with them every day, man. It's fun, and we're all competitors. I mean, it's kind of like at Texas State. Before practice, we would go play spike ball or play volleyball before practice just because to have fun. Well, here we play basketball and try to lift and get bigger than each other. So it's pretty cool to be with this staff.
And so we can kind of connect on this from us three coming from a 4A school. Growing up, you've known the coaches your whole entire life. Like my little league coach still keeps in contact. High school coach still keeps in contact. And you all kind of have that, I guess, a memory that stays with you or something that like flipped a switch. And mine was last year, and I know you like to bring it up, but we were playing at Belhaven. My first 2 games went really well at St. Thomas, and then I had a rough month. So we had 2 bye weeks. We played Hendricks. We got swept. I didn't pitch, so I'm on 4 weeks of no in-game action at all. During those 4 weeks, my grandma passed away, and so I was kind of dealing with that. And I remember we were at Belhaven. It was a night game. I go up there and two walks in the 9th inning and get pulled. And I think we only had a 1-run lead, and so that was hard for me because that was coming from 4A. That was kind of the first time that, man, I really got beat. And so I remember that I was upset, let that bother me for the rest of the day, and even a little bit going into Game 3 that next day. And same situation rolls around that next day. 9th inning comes, and I've heard the story goes, Coach Wood asked, who do you want in? And DK said, let's put Craig in. And go in. I get the job done. And then I remember before we got on the bus, Coach DK pulled me aside and was like, hey, we have full belief in you. And that was like a huge lift on my shoulders. Like I was so worried about, man, I really need to keep this job as a closer, this late inning job. And so like I was not only worried about getting the job done, but making sure that that's the job I had in the coach's eyes. And it was just having that relief off my shoulders that whatever position they put me in, they trust me to get the job in, or they wouldn't call my name. And I think that's kind of what flipped the switch for me to let me have a successful rest of the year that year and to what I've carried over this year. And I know Brett has a cool story about Coach Harden that he kind of wanted to talk about.
Yeah, real quick, you mentioned your high school baseball coach. I just want to say shout out Jeffrey Shanks if you're listening. Yeah, a legend. Yeah, anyway. I mean, Coach Harden, high school, he didn't play my freshman year because I had a few concussions in junior high and before that. So didn't play freshman year. And Coach Harden basically told me to start working on my neck muscles. And I guarantee he doesn't even remember that. Like, he made a joke suggestion. He was like, maybe you should start working on your neck muscles, because he was also the assistant baseball coach, and guarantee he doesn't even remember it. But it happened, Coach. Anyway, he told me to start working on my neck muscles so I don't get as hard of a whiplash. Started doing that, came back sophomore year, and ended up having a pretty decent football career in high school. I mean, nothing to, get a scholarship for. I mean, maybe if UST had a football team, I could be a quarterback or something, but easily. But yeah, that's a coach that impacted that, and something as small as a joke. He's a cool guy, great coach as well. And something as small as a joke impacted me because playing football, I made some of my best friends. Learned stuff about life from all the coaches. I mean, Cameron, do you remember Coach DeLeon?
Mm-hmm.
I've never met anyone with more stories. It's one of the older coaches, and I don't know why he hasn't retired yet, but he's literally just there for morale pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
So, but love him. And just hearing stories from all the coaches is a good thing. I mean, if I didn't play football, I'm not saying my life would be completely different, but a lot of my friends would be different. I mean, I met Cameron at a young age. I'll still be hanging out with him, unfortunately. But, yeah, I feel like a lot would have changed, and maybe for the worse. Who knows? But, yeah. So did you have a coach like that?
all of my high school coaches, I can go down through the line. They're awesome, man. I never had a bad coach, which is awesome. I know some people have coaches that can ruin sports for them, which is terrible to hear and see. But I got blessed, man. All of my high school coaches. My dad coached me till I was about 12 years old, and his buddy, Coach Keith, we called him. They're awesome coaches. Always believed in you. And then I get to high school, and it was the same thing, man. They always believed in you, and when they needed to be serious, they were serious. And when they needed a joke, they joked, right? And they kind of made me realize, at a young age, it's not all about what you do on the field. I mean, baseball or football or whatever you're playing doesn't define you, right? You step off that field, you have a life to live. You're your own guy, right? You're your own person. And so that's what I've always taken from high school and from my dad. And you have your life. Baseball's a game, football's a game, whatever. Between those lines, yes, it's a game, right? But after you get off that field, you have a whole different life. Yeah. So don't take it too seriously where you start hating it.
Yeah. So as all three of us just try to talk right there, something popped in my mind. You're talking about baseball and life balance right there. And I was wondering, kind of on that topic, how was when you're a student assistant, how was the life as a student assistant, whether it's juggling college, baseball, not getting paid for coaching? I'm assuming, right?
So actually, we got minimum wage, okay, which is awesome. More than I make right now. It was awesome, but I loved it, dude. I had those couple months off of baseball, and I missed it so much. And as soon as I got back in it, I loved it, right? So so we got paid minimum wage, so $7.25 because we were students, right? And so I loved it, man. School, I was never really a studier. I never really had to study. I mean, I made good grades, right? Like A's, B's, a couple C's, probably C's. But,
C's get degrees.
Yeah, C's get degrees, man. But no, it was awesome. I did take like in the fall more hours, like 15 to 16 more hours, just so I could graduate. But it wasn't really tough, man. It was, I was like coming from playing college baseball, and then when I got the job, it kind of got me ready for those late nights after Friday night games, Saturday night games, and early mornings the next day for BP. I'm not gonna say it was easy, but it really wasn't anything crazy. I really enjoyed it. I'm thankful for Trouty for giving me that opportunity. I loved it.
And so, kind of going off on that, I know it's something that's important to you, but it's something that shouldn't go unnoticed, is that you are a volunteer assistant coach right now. And so you put just as many hours in as the next guy, and you're doing this because you love coaching and you love your guys. So if you kind of want to talk about what it means to be a volunteer assistant to you and what you'd like people to know about it.
Yeah, so first of all, volunteer assistant, I wouldn't trade it for the world right now, right? Because I love baseball and I love coaching and I love the guys I'm with. I will say, though, if you do want to get into coaching and you're going to be a volley, have you a wife that can take care of you for a little bit, like my wife is right now. She's the breadwinner right now. But this is the way I look at it, man. If you come into coaching and with a negative mindset or something's owed to you, then it's not gonna work out, right? We come from small towns, and I was raised with a great family, and what my family taught me is you have to work for everything, right? You don't get anything, you have to earn it. And so the way I look at it here is I have to earn my spot to get paid, right? You can't. It's not a business job where you can just go in and get paid right off the bat. You can't graduate and just get paid. You have to have hours put in towards your experience, right? And so I'm lucky. I met Coach Peterson at Texas State baseball camp. He was out there recruiting. I told him my fiance at the time was getting a job in Houston, and I needed to figure something out. And he's like, "Hey, man, hit me up. Like, we can talk. I'll talk to Woody and see what we can do." And so, yeah, dude, I wouldn't trade it for the world. And yeah, we do. I don't know why they call it volunteer assistant. I mean, actually, I do. You don't get paid, but you put in as many, if not more, hours than the paid guys, right? I mean, we do laundry, we do study hall, we do everything, right? And so we do lessons. Shoot, I coach summer league baseball. I coach select baseball. So you never it's definitely I don't want to say a grind. I'm trying to get away from saying it's a grind because it's fun. Baseball's fun, but it's hard work, man. And I wouldn't trade it for the world, because one day I'll be at a big school and I'll be like, hey, I had to go through it. You're gonna do it too, to a young guy. So.
And so another job you have is shifting through all the emails y'all must get and going through Twitter and going to prospect camps and all that. And you mentioned you coach summer ball, so you're around kids trying to get recruited all the time. What is something that you look for to bring a kid to come play at St. Thomas or start recruiting a kid? What are some of the things that you'd want kids to know?
Right. So I would say ability, right? You're always looking for ability, but it's also the little things, right? Are you energetic? Do you want to be there? Sometimes when we show up to tournaments, kids don't look like they want to be there. It looks like their parents are paying all this money and they're just dragging butt on the field, right? Hustle on and off the field. You strike out 3 times and your buddy hits a bomb after you strike out. Are you the first one out of the dugout, or are you pouting in the dugout? Right? How do you handle adversity is what I really look for too. And of course, on top of ability. And also with parents, I've noticed this more and more. Are they yelling at their kids, being negative to the kids? Are they yelling at the umpires? You don't want your parents yelling at umpires, yelling at coaches, right? It's just a bad look. So I look for, parents that, are cheering for their guys, giving them positive feedback, right? You get enough negative feedback already, right? Give them positive feedback. And honestly, I just look at their body language too. They struck out 3? Can I tell if they've struck out 3 times or gotten 3 hits? Right? I shouldn't be able to tell that. I know it's tough in the moment, but you got to keep your head up because it's baseball. You fail most times, right? So that's what we look for.
And kind of, we'll kind of finish it up on these 2 questions, because one, I know that you're very passionate about this, and it's something that I struggle with. Is, as y'all probably know, that baseball is pretty much everything I do. Baseball is always on my TV. That's all I talk about, all I watch. Whatever my social media is, it's just baseball. And so when I struggle at practice or I have a bad game or whatever it is, I have a hard time kind of separating my life away from the results I had, because I'm so, I guess, indulged into the game that I guess people will say it's my only personality trait. And so I kind of wanted you to kind of expand more about what you learned your freshman year at SAGU about how to separate, and being a coach and learning how to separate from in between the lines.
Right. So at SAGU, I wasn't good at it. If I had a bad game or a bad practice, I would just carry it through light or carry it through the next day, carry it through class, and I couldn't get rid of it. When I learned it kind of is when I got out of the playing shoes, right? When I became a student assistant, and especially here now, is now that I can see y'all doing it, and I'm like, oh, okay, I was there too, right? And what I would say to get your mind off stuff is, man, just go home and just give yourself 30 minutes without baseball. Just 30 minutes watching Netflix. If you're in the shower, just calm down, deep breaths, breathe. It's going to be okay, I promise you, right? And I know you talk to your girlfriend, whoever you're talking to, your friends, go out with your friends, right? If you fail, so what in baseball, man? I mean, you only get to play it so long. I learned that my freshman year in college. I got to play 1 year in college, right? And it's done. And so that's why I tell y'all, sometimes before games or at practice when I see, people slacking is, guys, you only there's a clicker going. There's a timer going right now. That thing's going to run out eventually, right? And so just don't take baseball or practice or games for granted. I mean, bus trips, that's the biggest thing I missed when I was playing or not playing is the bus trips, being with the guys. You don't like being on the bus?
Oh, man. Abilene this weekend it's going to be rough.
Yeah. But no, like I'm saying is the biggest thing was missing the guys, man. I really did, and I'm so glad I got to go to Texas State and meet buddies again. But yeah, I'm telling you, get home, relax, don't think about baseball, put on some Netflix, cook dinner, whatever you need to do, talk to friends, go outside, don't do anything, go grill, right? Just take your mind off baseball.
No, I will. Going back to the bus thing, I will say I've had those talks. Like you get into hour 5 and 6 on that way on the drive home, and you're like, man, I don't want to do this again. But you give it a day and you look back on all the Mafia games we play in the back or the times you get talked to. It's always me and Luke sitting by each other talking. And I know in a few years when it's gone, I'm going to miss it, but it's rough right now.
Yeah. We got a big road trip coming up, man.
Long one. So kind of to end it off, y'all as a coaching staff has done a great job about bringing players in. I mean, like, my perception of what D3 baseball was before I got here is nowhere near what it is. Like, you're at least at St. Thomas, you're seeing a 90 arm pretty much every single day, and our hitters 1 through 9 can rake, and we have D1 guys with COVID. Talent is deep at every level, and so kind of want you to give your pitch on why you come play at St. Thomas.
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to say is D3 baseball has changed a lot, dude. Like the arms that we see right now in the 90s and lefties throwing 85, 87 with movement. I mean, it's really good baseball down here. There's really good baseball everywhere, honestly. Especially, I mean, now transfer portal's hurting D1 guys, and then you got JUCOs, and you have COVID years, so it's kind of screwing the high school guys right now. But my pitch is honestly, dude. First thing is the coaching staff, right? We have a really good coaching staff, 3 young coaches, 2 older guys that have been there, done that, bunch of knowledge, right? Second is the campus. Beautiful campus, literally 2 blocks downtown downtown Houston. You get on campus, it's quiet, right? You don't hear the traffic, you don't see all the homeless people or any of that stuff. It's literally our own little community. And number 3 is you get to play at a pretty cool venues, right? We don't have our own home field, and when we talk to recruits, we tell them that straight up. We don't have a home field, but you're going to go play at Rice, you're going to go play at Constellation, you're going to go play at HBU, sometimes you're going to go play at U of H, right? And so, I mean, you don't get better venues than that, right? Unless you go D1. So, awesome fields, awesome coaching staff, and you're in the middle of Houston. It doesn't get much better than that for student athletes.
Yeah, I'm a huge believer in that. God has a reason for everything, and so I think I'm tremendously blessed to have been placed at St. Thomas. Have the friends that I've made, the teammates that I have, the coaches that I have. I don't know what I would do if I couldn't go to a national game every other day. So, so I really enjoy being here in Houston. Thanks for coming on, DK. It was great talking to you.
Hold on. I got one question. I got one more question for DK. What do you recommend for someone to do? That's not the right way to put it. What would you say to someone who's looking into getting into coaching?
Okay. So are they playing, or are they in high school? What's the situation?
So let's just say, let's give it like the usual. They played in high school, didn't get a scholarship, had to stop playing, going to college right now, or maybe about to go to college.
Okay.
Maybe it's their senior season.
Right. So if you don't go and play in college, the thing I would do is what I did. Right. Go to you send them an email, right? But I would personally go to the office of the head coach or assistant and talk to them and say, hey, look, I want to get into coaching, and I think you're a great coaching staff, and I want to learn from y'all. Is there any spots available that I can help y'all with? Right? Because, coaches get spread out a lot, right? When we have a bunch of stuff to do, and there are jobs in colleges that you can get minimum wage like I did, $7.25 an hour, and help out the coaching staff and get to be buddies with the coaching staff, and then you start working for them, and now you have all these connections, right? You have all these connections with these coaches, and those coaches have bunches of connections, right? So that's what I would do. I would go into the office, face-to-face, try to talk to them. If you can't, send them an email, tell them what you want to do, what you did in high school, and all that stuff, and see where you can go from there. And then I got another thing. People in Central Texas, we're coming to Round Rock Tuesday, playing at the Dell Diamond. Come out and watch, 7 o'clock. Get Hudson Tilson.
That'll be good. And then if you wanna hype up the TLU series too, because I'm still kind of unaware what we're doing with that, but that sounds like a lot of fun from what I've heard.
So we're playing TLU. I think it's March 31st and April 1st in Weimar, Texas, baby. About 30 minutes from Giddings. It's an awesome field. It's an older field, but I mean, every time I played there, I played pretty good. So I'm pretty excited to go back there and and it's a smaller town, so there's gonna be a bunch of fans there that coming to watch college baseball. So it's gonna be awesome.
Awesome. All right, DK. Well, thanks again for hopping on. Like I said at the beginning of the show, we're now on Spotify, so this is where this episode will be. You can also check us out on YouTube at Clutch City Cast, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at CityCast Studios. So once again, thank you for coming on, and guess I'll see you at weights tomorrow.
Yeah, you will.
See y'all.